Lands also exist between the circle environments. These neutral zones were once used by early explorers as resting points during long journeys. They are escape possible. Many believe that the worlds within the Great Dome inspire a drive for freedom and to eventually lead explorers to the celestial lands, an even greater mystery that lies beyond the dome.
Helen Morris was born in the lands behind the ice walls, a place most of us cannot even imagine. Her father, William Morris, was a daring Navy navigator who crossed the ice walls into uncharted lands and uncovered truths that humanity was never meant to know. Now, Helen steps forward to reveal the secrets her father died to protect. The existing civilizations, humanity's lost history before the last reset, and the custodians, the shadowy rulers who have kept humanity in the dark for centuries. At 9:15 a.m., Helen Morris sat in a small grey room, the air heavy with stillness. The room was a place where humanity thrived, but now felt like a shadow of its former self. Helen had returned to the lands of her ancestors, where the weight of history pressed down on her. Her father, William Morris, had always believed in freedom for these lands, and Helen was determined to continue his mission. In the walled lands, life was rigid and controlled. Remained steadfast against the custodians' relentless grip. The plan, while delayed, was never abandoned. Progress takes time, especially when the true battle lies not just in the physical world, but within the human mind. The custodian's greatest weapon is psychological control, a ceaseless barrage of thoughts, fears, and divisions implanted to keep humanity fragmented. These voices, the doubts, insecurities, and endless competition, are their tools of oppression designed to wear people down and stifle their spiritual potential. Yet humanity endures, proving its resilience in the face of unimaginable adversity. The path forward requires a profound shift. Humanity must learn to silence these intrusive thoughts, to reconnect with the innate strength that has kept it standing despite generations of manipulation. The key lies in teaching future generations their true potential, shielding children from the distractions and divisions the custodians deploy to mold them into obedient followers. Through media, science, and education, they control the narrative, using trusted figures to ridicule and discredit any who dare to challenge their authority. But the answer is not to reject these systems outright. It is to infiltrate them, to excel within them, and to dismantle the corruption from the inside. The Republic has a different vision, one that fosters genuine scientific advancement and spiritual growth. The ancestral knowledge and the contributions of the giant humans, once hidden or destroyed by the custodians, remain vital to this effort. This lost legacy holds the keys to ending the cycle of control and conditioning. It's a monumental task, but one made possible by humanity's unique essence. As the source of life, humanity carries within it an unparalleled unparalleled connection to the Great Dome and possibly to other worlds beyond. Other races have defeated the custodians before, proving that liberation is achievable. But humanity's potential is singular, something the custodians fear and cannot fully understand. It is this potential, this connection to the essence of existence, that makes humanity a pivotal force in the struggle for freedom. The Republic and its allies remain vigilant, working in the shadows, alongside those who have awakened to the truth. They stand ready, waiting for the right moment to break the chains of this so-called human farm and transform it into eternal freedom. The journey is long, the struggle immense, but the dream of a liberated humanity burns brighter than ever. Those who fight do so knowing that the seeds of unity and love will one day bloom, ushering in a world free from the grasp of tyranny. Their history is marked.
It must have went forward or something.
Is marred by division and conflict, much of it orchestrated by the Anunnaki. Long ago, when the Anunnaki invaded Jupiter, they sowed discord among the native factions, ensuring their dominance by keeping the inhabitants at odds. This strategy led to near constant warfare among the various groups.
The Anunnaki did that.
Breach the bunkers failed. The custodians tried explosives, blockades.
They couldn't stop the Venetians.
Conquerors.
Venus.
They manipulate and shape the societies they dominate. Through myths, art, and false histories, they confuse people about their true past. Making life less free and more controlled with every iteration. The humanity of today bears little resemblance to that of the past. Manipulation and strict control have eroded freedoms with each passing generation. Great War, humans and giants united to resist the custodians, while they managed to deliver a devastating blow, including the custodian leader. The defeat came at a high cost. The custodians enacted a reset, scattering humans. Were raised in ignorance of their true history, molded by the custodians' technology to ensure control from the beginning. The Anunnaki are another powerful and feared race, known for their relentless conquests and advanced technology.
The Anunnaki.
Towering up to 5 meters tall, with yellow-green, scaly skin and piercing eyes that glow yellow, red, or black, their appearance alone strikes fear into anyone who encounters them. They are master builders, creating massive pyramids, symbols of their dominance and control. Their technology is far more advanced than any other race in the Great Dome. They use powerful weapons and sophisticated portals to travel between worlds, allowing them to invade and overpower civilizations with ease. This technological edge is the most dangerous races, even more than the custodians. The Anunnaki
And the custodians have a complicated history, while two share thirst.
and custodians have a complicated history. While the two races share a thirst for power, they have also clashed. In one great conflict, the Anunnaki defeated the custodians, but instead of continuing the fight, they later allied with the custodians. This alliance crushed the hopes of human and giant forces who had been fighting for freedom, leading to their defeat. The lands of the Anunnaki are harsh and unwelcoming. They live in dry, arid regions with little vegetation. One of the most dangerous features of their territory is the waters of porous, seem calm and inviting from a distance, but are filled with massive snake-like creatures, some over 55 meters long. Barrier, keeping intruders away. The Anunnaki are not just conquerors, manipulate and shape the society they dominate. Myths, art, and stories, they confuse people with their true often depicted with animal and human bodies. They have embedded their image in the cultures they control, ensuring their dominance as natural. Tension always simmers between the Anunnaki and the custodians. Both races control, and their uneasy truce is built on convenience rather than trust. For now, rulers within the Great Dome, but their rivalry remains a potential. On the other hand, the Venusians were a peaceful people focused on truth. They didn't build like easy prey for the custodians, a colonizing their superiority. The custodians arrived on Venus expecting a swift conquest, but as soon as they set foot on the planet, an unrelenting storm that
That's what I think everyone in Atlas is.
let up. Days turned to weeks, and it became clear that this wasn't ordinary weather. It was a defense. The Venusians technologies the custodians couldn't understand. Every attempt to breach the bunkers failed. The custodians tried explosives, blockades, and other tactics, but the Venusians had planned for every possibility. Frustration turned to dissent among the custodians, and their forces began to collapse from within. As losses mounted, a custodian leader sought a meeting with a Venusian representative. The details of their conversation remain unknown, but the custodians left soon after, their invasion a complete failure. Venus remained free, its people safe underground, and the custodians learned the cost of underestimating those they sought to dominate. Further away, the Draco lands were home to the X-Minds, a race known for their psychic powers and technological brilliance. Before they became the advanced society of today, the Etermines faced an invasion by the custodians. At the time, they relied on their knowledge of the land and underground tunnels to resist, but the custodians' superior technology eventually overwhelmed them. Despite their defeat, the Etermines rebuilt and turned their land a hub of innovation. They formed alliances of Orion and strengthened defenses. Though they are at peace now, the Etermines have not forgotten the custodians, and they seek revenge. Mars tells a darker story. It's a thriving world. Its people valued community and spiritual growth over warfare. When the Anunnaki arrived, they had. But when it became clear they couldn't win, the last Martians made a choice. They would rather die than live as slaves. In a final act of defiance, they ended their own lives, leaving the Anunnaki stunned. Mars was left empty, its civilization wiped out, and the Anunnaki turned it into an experimental zone. Today, it's a place of constant conflict, with different races, including a small human colony, living under the watchful eyes of the custodians and Anunnaki. The Neptunians had a different fate. Their world was harsh, with constant sandstorms and limited resources, but they adapted and built towering cities along their fertile coasts. When the Anunnaki arrived, they pretended to be allies, offering technology in exchange for cooperation. But this was a lie. The Neptunians were betrayed, their resources stolen, and their freedom stripped away. At first, they accepted their defeat, but the Neptunians couldn't be kept down for long. They rebelled, turning Triton into the center of a bloody conflict. The Anunnaki eventually withdrew, leaving Neptune free but scarred. The Uranites, giants with incredible vision, lived in the icy lands of Uranus. They were initially ignored by the custodians, but that changed when vast mineral deposits were discovered beneath their land. The custodians launched a brutal campaign, enslaving the Uranites and leaving their land covered in craters from relentless mining. Confined to a central region called Titania, The Uranites now struggle to survive, their civilization a shadow of what it once was. The lands of Jupiter are vast and diverse, home to numerous territories, each with its own identity and culture.
Jupiter.
However, their history is marred by division and conflict, much of it orchestrated by the Anunnaki. Long ago, the Anunnaki invaded Jupiter, sowed discord among the native factions, ensuring their dominance by keeping the inhabitants at odds. This strategy led to near constant warfare among the various groups. At the center of Jupiter's environment lies the land of Zeus, the seat of power. The Zeus-born, alongside called the Europeans, rule with an iron grip. They manipulate the other areas like Ganymede, Callisto, and others into fighting one another, keeping the two divided to challenge the central authority.
Show, like, how does he know all this stuff? It's like, where do you get your research from? Just from how does he know all this about the
In
fire?
Metis, an exclusive and secretive area, only the Anunnaki and their allies reside. Here, destructive weapons are developed, reinforcing their dominance. The influence of the Anunnaki is evident everywhere, with pyramids dotting the
It's all
landscape
hiding
as
in
symbols
Antarctica?
of control.
Or
These
are you
lands,
talking about
while
the
rich
planet?
by the divisions that were deliberately inflicted upon them. Nearby, the lands of Pegasus tell a story of hope and tragedy. The Lanteans, once thrived here, known for their extraordinary metallic wings and peaceful nature. They focused on exploration rather than conquest, a choice vulnerable when the custodians arrived. At first, Lanteans tried to cooperate, sharing their technology in hopes of coexistence. Custodians betrayed them, seizing their resources and exploiting their advancements for their own gain. Too late, the Lanteans their rebellion was fierce and successful, leading to massacres. Some say the Lanteans were wiped out, while others believe remnants of their kind survived. Their story of around resilience and transformation. A minotaur for feeding on human flesh. Over time, however, they evolved into protectors, helping other races escape extinction. Their defiance against the parasitic rulers of the Great Dome, but their allies to many oppressed species. With their horns often cut in childhood to symbolize maturity. Their paths marked by internal wars, particularly in Aldebaran A, where so much blood was spilled that the area was abandoned out of respect. Today they live across various worlds, their spiritual growth and technological expertise serving as a beacon of hope. The Saturnians, meanwhile, have never known subjugation. These colossal beings, standing up to 14 meters tall, possess unparalleled psychic abilities and advanced technology. When the Anunnaki attempted to infiltrate their lands, they quickly realized conquest was impossible. Instead, they sought a truce. But the Saturnians, united in their decisions and free from hierarchies, refused to aid the Anunnaki schemes, especially their plans to penetrate the celestial lands. Saturnians are serene and harmonious, relying on collective decisions to guide their civilization. Their presence has left an indelible mark on the known lands, misinterpreted as myth due to custodian manipulation. Alongside the Anakim giants, they remain a formidable force against the custodians and Anunnaki. In the Orion lands, the Greys dominate with their unmatched scientific and psychic capabilities. These small beings have been integral to the custodians' efforts to conquer the celestial lands. Their experiments on other races, particularly humans, have a reputation for cruelty. The Greys many harrowing accounts of abductions and genetic tests. Despite their advanced technology, Greys have suffered defeat during the time of Tartary. They attempted to control the lands overthrown by bands of giants and humans. Their people were killed, deepened their hatred for independent lands. Of any
We're seeing common people around the world becoming supernatural. And they follow
The
this.
whole video.
Any conqueror. Many extraterrestrial worlds exist beyond the lands, each with its unique struggles and stories. Some thrive in peace, untouched by the perhaps because they offered nothing of interest to their would-be oppressors. Others, however, suffered a far worse fate. The parasitic civilizations, stripping their lands of resources and altering their histories, leaving behind broken worlds and extinguished dreams, bears the scars of the nation. Though physically intact, it has been spiritually fractured, its potential suppressed. The colonizers' true goal was not mere conquest, the erosion of humanity's connection to what is called the source of life. This essence is believed to be a unique gift that no other race possesses, a connection to the celestial lands themselves. The source of life is what makes humanity different. It is something that the colonizers have never been able to control or manipulate. Despite their power, they cannot alter this inner truth. This inability has long fueled their fear, as the very existence of this essence poses a threat to their dominance. The physical chains of oppression may weigh heavy, but the spirit remains untouchable. Across the Great Dome, some races have successfully resisted the parasitic forces. They endured, adapted, and in some cases remind humanity that survival
Ice walls. Let's see.
of the known land, filled with untapped potential but shackled by those who sought to support her father's courage to honor, with a sense of debt. They gave everything for freedom. Her mother would say, her voice both proud and stayed with her. Gap between two worlds that had been. William Morris was not just a man of the sea. He had already earned his member of the continental Navy, but it wasn't his military rank that set him apart. It was his unwavering refusal to accept the status quo. A figure shrouded a land beyond its walls and was deeply embedded in the struggle to reclaim. Expertise wasn't and compasses. Butler led the Naval Council of the Republic. A team of experienced warriors, they set their sights on the unthinkable, crossing the polar ice. bravery. It was a
journey was not just a physical crossing. The mission was fraught with danger. The walls were
barriers. They simply thrived on keeping humanity divided and subdued. Ever-present risk of discovery.
yet the team pressed on.
More than it was a union of purpose.
And more
Times that history would ever
record, infiltrating their depths.
freedom. Join
in massive
both men knew that waiting for change was not an option. Action. The groundwork for something great. Humanity's survival. Set. It wasn't
rebellion against
nation. An alternative plan to ensure before the Great Reset. It wasn't just a rebellion
against the colonizers. It was a race against time
to save humanity. Escape the station without children and families to safety, saving lives when all seemed lost. The gratitude for their bravery. The people of the Republic
speak a mix of languages, with their native
tongue being most
They
common.
work hard to keep the old
Yet
languages alive,
they work
especially in the smaller
old languages alive,
The
especially in
larger
the
cities
smaller
often lose
communities.
touch with these roots,
The larger city
but there's a collective effort to maintain the connection to their past. The war that forced their ancestors to flee was devastating. Millions
to
perished,
flee
including a young woman's grandfather, who
perished
fought bravely until the end. Her
Fought
mother, just a baby
till
at
the
the
end.
time, was carried to safety
just
by
a
her
baby at
grandmother.
the time, was
Stories like this are told with deep emotion, a
Stories
reminder
like this
of the
are
price paid for their survival. Long
price
ago, when the known lands were still alive,
long
dreams of freedom,
known lands were still alive with dreams
humans, and a race often whispered about in myths.
and a race.
These beings were not the terrifying creatures of folklore, believed in the potential of humanity,
Believe in
far beyond the barriers of ice and mountain,
from far beyond the barriers of ice and brought by the hope that together they could overthrow the oppressive of the custodians. of innovation. Manipulations of manipulation, but such defiance could not go across the custodians whose control spreads across the maps were recast as villains in the tales they survived. They painted as enemies of the gods. Very deep layers had only ever sought to protect. The giant, however, only ever sought to protect all else. The physical world enough could sought to the essence of human. The battle for freedom became cost. The alliance between giants combined strength, shaking the foundations of their custodians' rule. Almost within reach, but the custodians But the fields of the known lands were left stained with the blood of those dead. The ocean had borne these lands, graves for the fall of these lands, a testament grave to the fallen. Giants. To the wake of their defeat, the giants disappeared. They retreated into the shadows, choosing to remain hidden rather than their retreat was not a sign of surrender, but an act of wisdom. They had seen the consequences of their actions and understood that the time was not yet.
Imagine being able to
So
build
the giants went
Imagine
into
being
hiding.
able to build anything just by thinking about it.
We don't know what the truth is. No, I don't know what to believe. This is what all Antarctica is hiding. All this stuff. I have in my video.
Base 44. A complete Meet Base 44. A complete
The Great War began with such speed and ferocity that there was no time for preparation or understanding. The custodians, true to their methods, launched a direct assault on the major cities. Their strategy was calculated and power. Strike at the heart of power, dismantle the core, and let the rest crumble. As that followed, a tactic perfected over countless conquests. For the war, the giants had warned humanity of the custodians' intentions. Spoken hands to the air of this world, a tactic that had been employed on continents beyond the dome. About those distant lands, little or the true extent of custodial greed and hostility. Giants. Hostility brought humanity custodians' methods, their weaknesses, and their relentless hunger. The alliance between humans creating an unprecedented challenge, custodial of a great clock, the precision of a great clock, a testament to the nation contributed. Together, they could not ignore, but the by the walls of Antarctica that now divide the world, though slightly altered, the continents, though slightly altered, crafted these lands after the war, crafting a new beginning that concealed their near defeat. They twisted the environment and erased the truth, ensuring that no memory of Tartary's defiance would remain. The custodians labeled the giants as barbarians, deriding their strength and unity. Humanity, in turn, became the target of their deepest disdain. The war was not just a battle for territory. It was a war against the very essence of freedom and cooperation. The custodians sought to dismantle the bond between giants and humans, fearing what could be accomplished when two such forces united. Though the custodians ultimately regained their grip on the known lands, the legacy of the Great Tartary and the sacrifices of the giants reminder of what was almost achieved, and even now ought to be invincible. Even now, it marked the arrival of the custodians' wrath. Dismantle an empire built on hope and unity. And ideas they had ever imagined. Together, using their combined remarkable progress, using their of the custodians. Aimed straight for the custodians aimed straight for the heart of Tartary. Cities in ruins and morale in tatters, leave a great blood flickered as the Anakim, a faction of giants who had allied with humanity, fought valiantly using their advanced technology. But not all giants stood united. Some, seeing the odds stacked against them, chose not to fight, believing resistance was futile. Despite the divisions, the spirit of resistance burned brightly in Tartary. For a brief, electrifying moment, there was a glimmer of possibility, a chance that they could achieve true freedom. That hope, however, came at a cost. The custodians, weakened by the fierce resistance, retaliated with measures so brutal that the land itself bore the scars. They poisoned the air, altered climates, and erased entire histories. They reshaped the known lands with walls of ice, burying the memory of Tartary beneath layers of manipulation. This war was not just physical, but spiritual. The custodians knew that to truly subjugate humanity, they needed to create a system of control that extended into every facet of life, a system designed to strip people of their ability to question through propaganda, to resist, prompting the masses to accept lies as truth, the masses to dare to challenge true narrative for ridicule, dare to challenge them were ridiculed, ostracized, and silenced. Yet, in the those who would not.
This is made up. How would someone know all this happened?
But they're not The sky were declared pink. Pink. Law. Few would, and fewer still. This chilling reality is why they continue. The is not just land power. Great cities may have fallen, but their story lives to let the future reset in the known lands. Devastating era. An era where humans and become tantalizingly close. Parasitic giants. Not and hell. Once reduced to it, or engulfed in flame, or buried in dark. The custodian unleashed this act. He set the world calculated to premature development did prematurely, cutting short the development of humanity. Limit of growth. Was it the wars against time mixed with life. For existing chosen by the custodian intellect its environment came close and the giant's intervention at the moment when the veil and of the truth they feared losing the walls that lands from the truth beyond. Places where all desire was bring over forces and other races in the violent fight. Intricate veil of lies. Their influence into key areas, for even possible.
And with 3-1 AI.
Parallel determination. The known to the infiltrators as false and ancestral republic set them when the surveillance technos now operate state infiltrate regime. A grim reminder of was Captain Butler. The death of William Morris, the struggle for humanity. The limp. Understand William was of the known. The Antarctica ship measured the air route that the ancestors of taking William had been traveling in a technology they introduced. Might turn this technology another reset. Humanity's progress initiated fight has not ended stronger than before.
They come